Welcome into the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show, and this is going to be a short show because there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff going on in this house today. Yeah. We got a lot of stuff going on, and the kids are getting ready to come home, and that means that it's a short show today, but it is a short and impactful kind of show today. And why? Because, my friends, the Tush Push lives. It lives another year. We thought the Tush Push would die. Diana Rossini put out on the Twitter this morning that she had heard through multiple different sources that two of the competition committees had decided to vote against the Tush Push. But then we found out that they made a mistake. I think she deleted that tweet too. The Tush Push lives. It exists yet another year. And we will probably go back and do this whole thing again next year as the league, most notably the Green Bay Packers, decide to weep some bitter tears. And you know what? Just get a little piece of bread. Slice a nice slice of a crusty loaf. Let's get a little bit of oil, okay? And then just dab. Just dab those salty tears. Tasty. Absolutely delicious on a wonderful Wednesday. The Packers have been left sad. They have been left embarrassed. Let's call it what it is. I think for the most part, people don't really care about the Packers that much. Like, the Packers exist in a market that doesn't have much going on, so it's just the Packers. And you go, oh, it's a fan-owned team, and you go, all right, Packers, a lot of history, but nobody really cares. Like, nobody gets really worked up about the Packers, right? When Aaron Rodgers was there might have been some getting worked up. When Brett Favre was the quarterback, might have been a little bit of getting worked up. But I don't think that many people hate the Packers. Now, in recent years with the Eagles and the Packers, a little bit of back and forth, there's like a little bit more hatred, a little bit more disdain. But ever since it was revealed a month or two ago that the Packers were the ones that were kind of leading this charge to try to outlaw the Tush Push. And by the way, not just the Tush Push, but pushing of any kind. So we're talking about players getting shoved in the field of play anywhere. As soon as we saw the Packers kind of put this out there, you got the pushback. Remember, we've recapped it on this show. You had the Sean McDermotts of the world, who, by the way, his Buffalo Bills team ran it the second most times in the league a season ago, but he's been talking about player safety. Oh, player safety. We're worried about the safety of the players. There's no data to prove or to corroborate the point that the Tush Push is unsafe or is any less safe than a traditional quarterback sneak or even handing the ball off to a running back. There's no data to support that. And yet, they tabled the discussion at the last meeting until May, very clearly trying to drum up enough support among the owners to go out and have this vote and hopefully outlaw the Tush Push. And I'll also note the fact, because we now have the list, at least per Adam Schefter, we have the list of the 10 teams. It was going to take 24 teams voting in favor of the ban, the Tush Push ban proposed by the Packers. It was going to take 24 teams to ban the Tush Push. They ended up getting 22 votes. Now, that is more than they got at the last meeting. It still wasn't enough to get them over the hump. But when we look at the list, you're going to see a little bit of hypocrisy. You certainly will kind of spot a few things that makes one think, did some people go back on their word? And you know what? Screw it. We'll go there first. We'll work in reverse, because as of this show going live, everyone at this point has to know the Tush Push will survive another year. I want you to see which teams ultimately went through, voted on this, voted against the ban, and vis-a-vis, I believe, deserve just a little bit of grace next season. I know that we like to boo everybody, but I think that the teams on this list, I think we boo a little bit less. And if they're in Philadelphia for a game, maybe we don't boo them quite as hard, because they've enabled the Eagles to go back to another season with quite the backing here. So here are the 10 teams that voted against the Tush Push ban. So these are the teams that effectively align themselves with the Eagles. So it's the Eagles plus 9. So of course the Eagles voted against the ban. The Ravens, that one is interesting. Lamar Jackson, got Derrick Henry, big boy in the backfield. Connection there long-term, right? John Harbaugh, Eagles guy, okay. You got the Cleveland Browns, a little bit surprising maybe. The Lions, you could view one of two ways. The Lions could have very easily voted against this, knowing that the Eagles are probably their biggest competition, reigning Super Bowl champions, could have really dealt a big blow to the Eagles by voting in favor of the ban. Instead, they vote against the proposal from their NFC North rivals, the Green Bay Packers. They vote against the ban. Jacksonville, good on Tony Khan and Shad Khan. Good on them. Great stuff. So now if you're in Philly and you're a wrestling fan, I think we all have to buy tickets to the AEW residency at the 2300 Arena. So I think that's what we have to do now. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. The Dolphins back it. Okay. The Patriots back it. That was interesting. Is that Mike Vrabel just saying that's hard-nosed football? Is it also that, like, they don't have to really worry about it because the only other team that tries to run it anywhere near the rate that the Eagles do is Buffalo, and we saw Buffalo get kind of shut down, we'll put it nicely, in the AFC Championship against Kansas City, so maybe that had a little bit to do with it. The Saints. We are going to thank the Saints because Kellen Moore, head coach, was the offensive coordinator for this team when it won the Super Bowl. We're going to give Kellen Moore a little tip of the cap. Now, in fairness, this vote that happened wasn't coaches, wasn't executives, it was the owners. The owners were the ones who ultimately voted on this, which we're going to get to in a second. So Kellen Moore maybe had a little bit of influence with his owner, saying, we're going to vote for it. Like, I would like to keep my word. The Jets. Why did the Jets vote for it? No one knows, but we'll take it. Thank you, Jets. The Titans. I didn't even know they still had a team, but they do. And they voted against the Tush Push ban. But there are 2 omissions on this list. Actually, 3 omissions on this list that certainly caught my eye. And I wonder if the 3 omissions on this list also happen to coincide with the fact that it was the owners who voted and that it wasn't part of the larger overall meeting. Now, there are 3. You should be able to figure them out. I'll give you a second because one was a very vocal supporter of the Tush Push, or at least about, like, if I would like to try to figure out how to stop it. This team is in the NFC South. This team has a coordinator, or has a head coach that was a coordinator in Philadelphia. I'm a little bit surprised that he didn't follow through. That's all I'm going to say. All right, if you've given up, which you should not, but if you have given up, the correct answer is Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They did not vote in favor, or they voted in favor of the ban. So Todd Bowles, head coach, has said pretty consistently that he thinks you don't ban a play just because you can't stop it. It's on defenses to learn how to stop it. So the Buccaneers, who we probably thought was going to be a vote against the ban, they ended up voting in favor. Okay, that's one. You say Todd Bowles is pretty removed from it. He's a head coach, whatever, okay. The Arizona Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon. You know, you go back to what Nick Sirianni said at the end of the season and prior to the last meeting where he said that, Gannon, Steichen, Kellen Moore should all probably vote for it because it in some way, shape, or form has had an impact on them having jobs as head coaches in the NFL. Okay. So Jonathan Gannon, gutless. Okay. Arizona, maybe they think they're going to compete with the Eagles, which is hilarious, but maybe they think they will. They vote against it. Okay. They vote against the Tush Push, so they voted in favor of the ban. But the one that really stands out here is Indianapolis because Steichen's been a guy who has effectively, in a way, kind of confirmed that the Colts would kind of vote alongside the Eagles, that he's not against the Tush Push, and yet he's not on there. So there are 3 votes that I thought, if you had kind of polled me on it before the vote happened today, I would have said the Bucs, almost certainly because of Todd Bowles. I probably would have thought Arizona would have waffled. I did think that Indy was going to vote against the ban. So it was a margin of error of 2 here. 2 votes go the other way, and the Tush Push is banned. Now, does Nick Sirianni go headhunting after some of his guys that he thought was going to back their stance and go against the Tush Push ban? I don't know. He might. Now, why the hell not? So those are, according to Adam Schefter, those are the 10 teams. Eagles, Ravens, Browns, Lions, Jags, Dolphins, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Titans. Good on Kellen Moore. I mean, it is kind of crazy to think about, though, right? Like, this could have been, so it was 22-10, and it could have been, it could have been really bad. Could have been really, really bad. this got very hairy for a second. If you're an Eagles fan and you want the tush push, keep in mind, it wasn't a blowout vote. I saw 22-10 going around on Twitter, and I thought, oh, okay, that must mean that I was an idiot. I thought it meant 22 teams voted against the ban. And I was like, well, there you go. There's a resounding defeat for the Packers. It wasn't. It was a 2-vote thing. Now, I'm going to try to do something here on the show today. There's apparently a new feature over on, there it is. See, this goes back to like old school. There is a feature that I can apparently do over on the side of the stream now. You can see it down here. There's Ford with his comment. I can have your comments pop up here on YouTube, Facebook, and X in real time. God help us. We could do that, and I could still highlight some comments. So let me just see really quick. If I bring Andrew Fawcett up, we have like double comments now on the stream. Okay. This is good. I kind of like this. All right, I'm going to keep it over here for now. Unless, Ford does anything crazy, which I don't think he will. We'll keep the live running comments across all platforms so you can see them. That is one downside, I guess, when you do this across multiple platforms, is that if you're watching on one YouTube channel, but it's on the Joy Media YouTube channel and the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel, you can't see each other's comments. If you're on Facebook, you can't see any of the YouTube ones. If you're on X, the only ones you can see are the ones that I pull up. So we'll keep the live running chat going until something goes horribly wrong. But for now, we'll keep it up. All right, anyway, I'm going to go out to the comments, and then I do want to kind of go back. I want to work this in reverse order and kind of take you back to the feeling of this thing going against the Eagles and why people felt like that. So let's get into it. First, we're going to go over to Andrew Fawcett. Andrew Fawcett says, Rusty, that is me. Kenny Jones says, happy soggy Wednesday. And who you think wins the cup? I have the Oilers. I don't know. I don't know yet. I think there's a good enough chance that the Panthers could get it done. I'm not sure about the Oilers. I really wasn't feeling tremendous about the Maple Leafs, but I wanted them to win because I'm going to be in Toronto during the Cup. And so I'm a little bit disappointed, a little bit bummed out, but, what can you do? Amadeo, video guy Amadeo says, I just started editing Broads Pod. Now you decide to go live. Damn right. Damn right, fella. Let's see. Jim Cochran says, great. 12 more months of debating whether it should be legal. I saw Ross Tucker put out a really good take on this. Maybe I'll bring it up on the show. But Ross Tucker, highly respected guy, relatively local guy. He kind of outlined why he was, on one hand, happy for the Eagles, but then on the other hand, kind of disappointed that the tush push didn't get banned. And his rationale behind it was actually pretty good. I'm gonna go to the reason that he was like a little bit disappointed to see it go through. And it's pretty simple. The reason itself is about as straightforward as can be. While you could be excited as an Eagles fan that they're going to get to have this tool in their arsenal one more time, there is a downside to it. So we'll go over to Ross Tucker real quick.
First place, right? So common sense prevailed. Shout out, by the way, to the owners that realized that and voted it down. On the flip side, I'm tired of people complaining about it. I'm tired of people whining and crying about it. There was part of me that almost wanted to be banned just so that the Eagles could continue to dominate with that offensive line and a regular quarterback sneak anyway. Ultimately, though, the right side won what was a crazy debate and has been for months.
So, I think he's right. I think if you're an Eagles fan and you've been fighting this battle, probably not among other Eagles fans, but like if you're online, if you're chronically online like I am, right? You've been fighting this battle for years now. And so there could have been a little bit of relief if they had effectively banned the tush push. And yet, it certainly doesn't hurt your dynasty window, as I've been calling it. It doesn't hurt your dynasty window to have this at least available to you one more year. So, okay, let's keep going. Chris Freed says, greetings from the University of Richmond and the annual shareholder meeting of Markle. I can't wait, or I can't hear what Russ is saying, but I can follow along with the comments. Chris, thanks for being here. Andrew Foster says the Packers should be ashamed. Correct. I don't remember saying Tush and Hump together. I do have a thought, though. I have a real question. Is the reason that the Packers are so anti-tush push, is it because they want their tushes pushed? Like, is there like a certain amount of pushing of the tush that the Packers aren't getting that they want? Like, do they need? Is it kind of like having some people they sleep with like a weighted mask on their face to help them sleep at night. Some people listen to a sound machine, right? There are people who have like the weighted blanket on the bed or the fitted sheet. You know, it's about that feeling of like comfort and safety. Are the Packers just like lacking physical touch? Are the Packers just kind of lacking that little bit of a love touch? Like, do they need their tushes pushed? Is that what we need? I don't mean that in a weird way either, but do they need their buns cupped by other men on their team? Is that where we're at right now? Is there something missing in Green Bay? Is there a reason? Is there something that the Packers are just fundamentally missing in their day-to-day relationships or as an organization or with their loved ones? Do they just need their tushes pushed? Because we don't judge here, all right? If the Packers just need that physical touch, we're not telling the Packers they can't do it. Have fun, do what you want to do. But why are we trying to outlaw this play? I did see an interesting take that, you know, the Packers don't really have that figurehead owner and that they're almost not a Trojan horse, but the NFL was kind of trying to use the Packers as this entity, right, to be the ones to push this thing forward. And it kind of makes you think. It makes you think back. I do, at least. Makes you think back to like when the NBA kind of manipulated things, the Chris Paul trade to the Lakers that was shot down. There's that belief out there that there was a weird league influence in the Luka Doncic thing. But you look at this and you just go, it never made any sense. It only ever looked like sour grapes. It only ever sounded like a bitter team. And there was no evidence to support any of it. And I think that's ultimately why you at least had 10 teams vote against the ban. Now, if this happens again next year, if the Eagles win another Super Bowl, fine. Like, it'll be different. Now, if the Eagles don't make a Super Bowl and the Buffalo Bills do, and the Bills make the Super Bowl and it's, 4th and goal, game on the line, and they try to run a tush push with Josh Allen and they get stuffed, are we having this vote again next year? If the last image of the tush push is it failing, will we have this same exact vote next year? I'm not so sure. But you can bet your ass that if the Eagles find success with it again next year, which they will, we'll probably have this again. Christopher Ward over on YouTube with a very good point. I shouted this out on Twitter. It's awesome. The Eagles posted a 26-minute compilation of successful tush pushes right after the decision. He says, that's some next-level Philadelphian pettiness. I loved it. It was incredible. I got the notification on my phone. I have, certain YouTube channels. I have, notification set, like you can for the Russ Joy Show, by the way. You like the video, share the video, subscribe, ring the bell so you get notified whenever a video goes up. I saw it, and I went, the hell? 26-minute compilation of the tush push. And I thought it was like a fan account. I'm like, why am I getting this notification? And then I went over to YouTube, and sure as shit, 26-minute compilation of the Eagles just running the tush push to great success, by the way. Great success. All right. Raymond Supper said, all I can think is the Bucs realized their vote wasn't needed, but they did sign a 460-pound defensive tackle. I don't know, maybe. Let's see. Ford says, Crossing Broad, Pagan, ran a Diana Rossini story saying the push would be banned. Whoops. That's not Pagan's fault. Diana Rossini put out a tweet earlier today, and apparently it was deleted. I didn't look to see if I could find the deleted tweet. But this morning, she put a tweet out about, it was the safety committee, and it was the player safety committee, and I think the competition committee, and she said that her sources said that they both voted in favor of the ban. And so that's kind of what guided a lot of people's initial takes on this, only for things to change in real time. And ultimately, obviously, the ban didn't work. Let me see. Jim Cochran says, I honestly would have rathered it be banned before other teams figure out how to stop it. There's more legacy in being untouchable than it being solved. Maybe. Let's see. Jamie Calvario says, Vince Lombardi has to be rolling in his grave with how the Packers have been acting. I think it's pathetic. I really do. Now, listen, I've been very clear about this. I think that the second biggest crybaby bitch in this whole thing has been Sean McDermott. And I will continue to call out his hypocrisy. This is akin to if you go back, right? At the last meeting, Sean McDermott had that summit at his table. He had the media availability. And he was talking about, we want player safety. We care about the players. We care about the safety of the players, and that's why we don't think that has any place in this league. The brotherly shove, the tush push. And then somebody said, it was Elliott Shore Parks, goes, then why did you run it the second most times? And then he just kind of blank stared. You may be wondering how I got here. and like kind of like a malfunction. Must change answer to not prepackaged. They caught me. They caught me. They caught me. Wee, 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 buffalo wings. Wee, 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 wee. McDermott like had a freak out, and then he gave you like a somewhat ridiculous response, and he couldn't explain his hypocrisy because, again, if you're going to argue player safety as a reason to ban the tush push, but you've run it the second most times in the league, then that either means you're full of shit because you don't actually care about player safety, or you fucking hate Josh Allen and your offensive line if you're going to keep running it knowing that it puts them at greater peril and greater chance of getting injured, right? Like, there's no middle ground there, right? Like, if I say to my kid, hey, you can't jump off the top of the slide, you're going to get hurt, right? Well, there's probably evidence, right? And you could probably point to like, there was a little kid, little Johnny. Remember your friend Johnny? He jumped off the slide and he broke his leg. There's tangible evidence, right? Or the flip side is we watched 7 other kids of the same size and same age jump off the top of the slide, and it turns out that good old dad here is an idiot and it's only 11 inches off the ground and you're not going to get hurt. But if I believe that you're going to get hurt, right, I'm not going to let you jump off the slide, right? Like if I believe in my heart of hearts as a parent that you jumping off the slide is going to lead to actual catastrophic injury, you ain't jumping off the slide. But if I say I'm not going to let you jump off the slide because of the chance of catastrophic injury, and then I let you do it anyway because I know there's no chance of getting hurt because it's only 11 inches off the ground, then I'm just an asshole, right? Like I can't say that I care about your safety and then let you jump. Sean McDermott's a dolt, okay? And like, thankfully, 10 teams in the National Football League were able to call out the bullshit. Now, calling out the bullshit is also important because the Eagles had somebody else involved in this whole process. And that is really, really, really important because the Eagles didn't go into this with just Jeffrey Lurie. They didn't go with Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman. They went in with Jason Kelce. Why did they go in with Jason Kelce? Because there were some falsehoods spread about him at the last meeting, and it was requested by the Eagles that perhaps he attend this meeting and answer any questions that owners may have. So we're going to go out there really quick. Jamie, by the way, says, long live the tush push. A big suck it to the 22 owners who voted to ban it. Good on you. Very good point. Okay. Let me go over to what Kelce said. Jason Kelce on his show New Heights, along with his brother Travis Kelce, they were talking about the fact that Jason, and the episode dropped today. It was like perfect timing. Great stuff. Very well done. This is probably slightly better timing than Jake Tapper's book coming out and then the Joe Biden cancer diagnosis getting revealed 2 days before the book came out. Boy, that's making the rounds, isn't it? Interesting timing. Jason Kelce here, very planned, obviously. Jason Kelce throws it out there to the people. I have been asked to go to the meeting. I'm debating whether or not I should go to the meeting because clearly they didn't do the show live. This was pre-recorded, but they did drop it today, and he knew damn well he was going to be all over the interwebs, all over social media. Let's go out to hear what Jason Kelce had to say. Then we'll kind of come back around here. We'll point out a couple of other things, and we'll probably head out for the day. All right, here's Jason Kelce on New Heights today, talking about the tush push and his input.
Lastly, obviously, there's the tush push, which they are voting on banning. It feels like this is the most legitimate chance it's had since they've been voting on it to be banned. I'll say this. I'm actually going to Minnesota.
What?
So there were some things said at the last owners meeting. Some of the owners and coaches hinted that the reason I stopped playing was because of the tush push and that I got hurt on the tush push frequently.
What the f-?
I'm just going to answer any questions people have about my partaking in this play.
So let's start there. So he says this thing about the reason I stopped playing because of the tush push, that there was this idea put out there that that's why he retired. Now, remember, he said he doesn't like running the tush push. If you go back to like his final season and the tush push came up, I think he was mic'd up somewhere. And he said like how much it sucks. And like you could hear him yell like, fuck me, every time they went to run the tush push through NFL films, right? But this was a smart play because this isn't him saying, I'm going to go defend the Philadelphia Eagles, the team I played my entire career for. No, he's going there saying, yo, if you're going to like throw shit out about me, you better make sure it's right. If you're going to come at the king, you best not miss. We'll keep going.
Just going to answer any questions people have about my partaking in this play. I don't care whether it gets banned or not. I think that
that's a good line, by the way. Regardless of if he actually did want it to survive, taking the somewhat neutral stance, even though he played for the Eagles, is a smart thing, right? It's a good look.
At the end of the day, this is why you vote on things. And if they vote to ban the tush push, the Eagles are still going to run quarterback sneak at a very high percentage.
That's the part that a lot of people just seem to gloss over. You have a quarterback that can squat 600, a running back that can squat 500. You have a massive, dominant offensive line. And by the way, Cam Jurgens has now proven, and he proved in his first year taking over Jason Kelce, that he can run that play very effectively, be the anchor on that offensive line. They could run a quarterback sneak at a very high percentage. You'd be stupid to think they couldn't.
92%, exactly.
I'm just going to offer any type of if anybody has any questions about the tush push or whether I retired because of the tush push, I'll tell you this right now. I'll come out of retirement today if you tell me all I got to do is run 80 tush pushes to play in the NFL.
Jason Kelce said he's going to come out of retirement. 610-632-09.
I'll do that gladly. It'll be the easiest job in the world, and it'll be like 80-some snaps.
I can't wait to see a picture of you with a poster that says pro tush push. Keep the push. Push my tush. Push my tush.
The funny thing there is we did not get the picture of Jason Kelce with the poster saying, save the tush push or whatever. But what we did get instead is an image of Jason Kelce looking dapper, might I add, looking absolutely dapper. Here he is. This is Jason Kelce at the meeting. You can see him looking handsome, big smile on his face. I do have a question. There was a lot of negativity not that long ago. If you recall, there was a lot of negativity around Jason Kelce's comments about the Super Bowl and about the Eagles beating his brother Travis Kelce's Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And there were people who wanted to effectively disown Jason Kelce because he wasn't loyal. He should have been loyal to the team that he played for his whole career. What a horrible guy. He's not really a Philly guy. Oh, I want to burn my Jason Kelce jersey. Remember all these assholes? Because there were a lot of them. There were many assholes that were like, I hate Jason Kelce now. He didn't say that. Philadelphia Eagles. He should have said the Eagles. Totally ignoring the fact that his brother is a human being. He's known his brother his whole life. His brother is probably the most important person to him outside of his wife. Okay, cool. You just kind of gloss that over that part. If those people hated Jason Kelce before, but now Jason Kelce went to the owners' meeting and clearly put together some kind of a coherent argument and probably refuted some of the nonsensical points that were thrown out that included his name and a false reason for him retiring, do those people come back now? Do the people who disowned Jason Kelce, do they come back now into the fold? Do we let them back in? I guess we have to, right? But it's just an interesting point. So there you go. You have Jason Kelce who, on the show said, I don't care if it gets banned or not, but I do want to go clarify some things. And I don't blame him, by the way. It's like the old idea of keep my name out your mouth. If you're going to spread falsehoods about me and my career, for Jason Kelce, you should want to take the opportunity to clear the air, right? Now, here's why things got a little bit iffy. This is why things got just a little bit, I don't know what to call it. I don't want to say that it was total bullshit, but there were some things about this that felt really kind of gross and nasty and made me think that the Diana Rossini initial report that it was going to get banned, part of the reason that a lot of fine folks felt that way is because they moved this meeting. Remember, there's the general meeting for everybody who's at the owners' meeting, but the tush push vote was moved. It wasn't moved to just being, how do we put this? It wasn't for everyone to vote on. And I mentioned earlier that while you had a Todd Bowles who publicly said, we're not going to, vote against something just because other teams can't stop it. We want to figure out how to stop it. And just because Steichen said that he was essentially in favor of keeping the tush push, kind of a little wink and a nod to his former employer. Those points ended up proving to be pretty interesting. Now, I want to get to why, because I said, it all came down to the owners. Here's why. They moved the vote. The vote went from the wider group to just the owners and Roger Goodell overseeing. Why does that matter? Because apparently in that same owners-only meeting was also going to be the conversation around Roger Goodell's contract. Now, listen, Goodell technically works for the owners. He's the guy who's supposed to be the advocate for the owners, especially when negotiations come up with the Players Association. He is the figurehead of the entire league. He's also the one that takes all the shit when the owners want something. He goes to bat for it. He gets paid a ton of money to do it. So, I feel bad for Roger Goodell, but he's in this meeting. He is viewed to have a lot of power, especially even with other owners, right? So it's this small group of owners, 32 team owners, Roger Goodell, in a small room together. No one else. It's like the conclave, right? And instead of deciding on a new pope, they're deciding on whether or not to ban the tush push. And the belief had to be that, well, they tabled this vote from the last meeting. It very clearly was intended to politic, kind of backdoor politic your way into getting the necessary votes to ban the tush push. And yet, once the meeting was moved into this owners only 32 owners in the room, plus Roger Goodell, it still went the Eagles' way. The ban was still shot down, which is huge. But that could be tricky. And if you are a team that is worried about your standing with the league, and if you're a team that has maybe wanted to get more primetime games, you're a team that has maybe wanted consideration to host a Super Bowl, do you worry about the adverse ramifications, especially if the league is in some way, shape, or form behind the idea of banning the tush push? Now you as an owner go into that room, very small group, and you're still voting in direct opposition to what the league and what Roger Goodell might have wanted. That is an interesting position to be in. So again, when you look at that list of 10 teams, obviously Robert Kraft and the Pats, they have won a ton of Super Bowls. He's not worried about his standing. The Ravens have a long history, have won multiple Super Bowls. They should probably feel good. The Lions are maybe like an interesting one. I'm not going to say that like this idea is the totally sound one and the absolute reason, but I do wonder if there were teams that almost felt the pressure. They felt like the parent was in the room. Roger Goodell was in the room, and they didn't want to disappoint dear old dad. And so they voted in favor of what the league might have wanted rather than what they wanted to do themselves. Hard to know. I do imagine that much like the conclave, no one thought that that list was going to get out, or at least those owners thought, well, if it's only the 32 of us in the room, this vote will not get out. Surprise, surprise, it got out. It's also worth noting one other thing. The final vote of the tush push ban was 22-10. And you may remember this as an Eagles fan, but 22-10 also happens to be the score that the Eagles beat the Packers by in the playoffs. So there's like a beautiful little chef's kiss. I almost want to imagine that there was an owner who kind of did the mental math and said, all right, hold on. Is this vote going to be 23-9? I'm going to change my vote just to have it be 22-10, just to kind of have that one floating out there in the ether. It's a beautiful thing. I know sometimes we manipulate numbers to kind of say what we want them to say or support what we want them to support, but that landing at 22-10 is incredible, and we should all be very, very grateful. So at least for one more year, the Eagles are going to have the tush push in their arsenal, and we can feel really good about it. And we feel, obviously, that it is a better place for these Eagles to be going into next season. So we do a little tip of the cap, a little salute to the other 9 teams. The tush push lives on. Now, before we head out, we have JH here. Now, I think I know why this happened. He said, no notification today, but I'm here. Tush push lives. Long live the tush push. Get wrecked, Packers. I think that happened because there wasn't a 10-minute gap between when the stream was set up and when it went live. I'm pretty sure that's why that didn't happen. Okay? I want to do a little bit of investigative research, and I think I am going to work. I'm going to work on this between now and whenever, and I might even sell a shirt around it. I am convinced. In fact, I know for a fact that more players in the NFL have been hurt during the Lambeau leap than they have been hurt doing the tush push. I will also point back to the fact that way back in those COVID days, look back there back in the history books, back in the COVID years, if you remember, they had to ban the Lambeau leap because of the fear of social distancing. They banned the Lambeau leap for a year. There were also players that have said in the past that they were inappropriately touched by fans while doing the Lambeau leap. So I just want to throw this out there, just really quickly. Shouldn't we be looking to ban the Lambeau leap? It's not a football play. And if it has led to inappropriate touching and perhaps into some injuries, well, that's not great. So I don't feel very good about that. So I think we need to start a ban the Lambeau leap thing. Well, maybe we'll start that with this show. Final note as we head out, and we'll talk about this more on Friday's show when we get off of just the Eagles. Brad Shaw, former Flyers assistant coach, associate head coach, who became the interim head coach, who was not part of Rick Tockett's staff with the Flyers, is going to be joining Sheldon Keefe's bench with the New Jersey Devils. So that stinks. Brad Shaw, good dude, friend of Snow the goalie, very good coach, very well-liked coach, very respected coach in that locker room. It is an absolute bummer that he has moved on, but I did see a tweet from Jordan Hall that maybe explains a little bit. Back in the 2000-2001 season, Brad Shaw was the head coach of the Detroit Vipers. Sheldon Keefe happened to play for Brad Shaw. So is this Brad Shaw kind of going back and helping one of his former players? He gets a nice role on the bench, probably going to get a nice contract. It was a really good signing. It's a great signing for the Devils. It is a big loss for the Flyers, but the Flyers believe that their coaching staff is going to be even better this year. There might be some news coming out about that at some point in the not too distant future. I don't know. Don't hold me to it. But you have to think that about a month out from the draft, Rick Tocchet and those guys probably have to start thinking about putting together some assistant coaches on the bench. I'm just saying. Throwing it out there. I'm going to throw it out to you. All right, that's it for today. I will be back on Friday here with the Russ Joy Show. Thank you to everybody who joined today on YouTube, Facebook, and X. If you like podcasts, you can find the show in the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, wherever you get your podcasts. Do me a favor, as always, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And if you can, go into the comments section on YouTube, on the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel. Put a little comment in there. Let me know what you agreed with, disagreed with, something you're looking forward to, your thoughts. How many tiers of whiny Packers fans do you want to consume? You let me know in the comments section. Until Friday, this has been the Russ Joy Show, and I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also the name of the show. Have a wonderful Wednesday. I will see you on yet another fantastic Friday here on the Russ Joy Show. Until then, have a great day, everybody. Bye now.